Welcome to Cochise Red Hot, where the chips are crunchy, the salsa spicy, and we find out if you can dip into the heat. My eye is watering.
That is spicy.
Can we get a Dairy Queen too? Because I need a milkshake.
A Dairy Queen? Yeah, I'll tell you what. Woo! I could probably handle one more level.
Today, I'm sitting with Dr. James Perry, Executive Vice President of Academics. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Pleasure to be here.
Good. I'm glad you could join us. So we got to know, what's your tolerance level when it comes to spice?
Well, I would like to say that it's pretty high, but we'll find out today, really, if it is that high.
All right, very good. It's good to know. What's the spiciest thing you've ever eaten? How'd you handle that?
Probably a chiltepin pepper.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty spicy. But there was one time where I was at a chili festival in Texas, and I accidentally rubbed my eye after having touched a seed, and it swelled up for about 2 days. So
that'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. I'm not so good with the spice, so we're gonna see how I power through on this. So do we want to get started with our first dip? We're gonna dip into mild.
All right, let's do this.
That's gonna be that one for you. I'm gonna go with a round on this one. And get a good scoop. That's not bad. That's pretty good.
All right, kind of your store-bought paste pecani.
Mm-hmm.
Not real spicy, not a whole lot of kick to it.
No, that's pretty good. It's got a good flavor though. It's not too smoky, which is interesting. So, all right. So, first, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your role here at Cochise College?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I serve as the Executive Vice President for Academics. So I oversee both the credit and non-credit side of the house, as well as faculty affairs, which would be institutional research, military programs, workforce development. So it's quite a broad range of areas, but really related to program areas, both credit and non-credit.
Oh, very cool, very exciting. And how does your role impact students?
Yeah, so my role impacts students directly by being in charge of overseeing programs that can help them meet their educational kind of purpose or intent. So whether or not they want to get a certification in welding, or if they want to go on to get a baccalaureate degree, I oversee the areas that will help them get there.
Wow, that's really exciting. So from your perspective then, what advice would you give to students to be successful?
To be successful. I would have to say that the biggest piece of advice is to take advantage of all of the sports services and the opportunities to help you be successful. One of the key things about the community colleges is that we're here to help students be successful. So like I said, whether that's for transfer or to go directly in the workforce, not only do we have programs to help you do that, but we have support services to help you no matter where you are on that journey. Don't be afraid to ask for help and take advantage of those support services.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And good to keep in mind too. You know, from my perspective too as a student, it's really been a major game changer to have the access to those resources. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of new things going down in Sierra Vista for the college. Can you tell us a little bit about the simulators that are getting ready to be installed at the downtown center?
Sure. So currently we have a full ambulance simulator down there for EMT paramedicine in order to create scenarios where students can go in there and practice various competencies and skill sets. So on the horizon, within probably the next week, 2 weeks, we'll have delivered four cruisers, Tahoe cruisers, as well as one helicopter simulator. So the cruisers will be to help, again, our law enforcement academy, as well as our partners in law enforcement within the area, train, upskill, and retrain. So for instance, one of the things that we have slotted for the cruisers and the Tahoes is a full mapping of Sierra Vista and the surrounding roadways so that they can practice high pursuits within there prior to actually doing it in real life.
Wow, that's really exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And then from the helicopter standpoint is a simulation so that we can help flight nurses train in that scenario. So again, kind of looking at the first responders, what we're doing to not only embed some of the newer technology within our curriculum, but also help agencies that we partner with help train and retrain their people.
Wow, that's really exciting. All right, chip-wise, salsa-wise, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Shall we dip into the next one
Let's
then?
do it.
Let's do it. All right, I'm gonna be bold and I'm gonna try a scoop this time.
Oh, I'm gonna stick with the
You're sticking with the rounds?
ones. Yeah.
Tried and true?
Yeah.
Let's see. Ooh, this one's
ready?
chunky. Yeah. Well, I'm trying not to make a mess. Oh well.
Yes. I taste hints of cinnamon, but it's got a little bit of spice to it. It takes just a moment to kind of kick in,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I got a little, I think the red pepper was a little sweet, so that's pretty good.
yes.
Yeah, it got a little bit of a kick, but not too bad.
Yep, sugary, a little bit sugary.
Yeah. All right, so kind of sticking with the simulators then. So the helicopter, is that an entire helicopter? Can we talk a little bit about that?
I don't think it's an entire helicopter. It would be tough to fit within that space in a tire, but I believe it's the cab of the helicopter, which would allow both access for a pilot and then the flight nurse and a patient in there to be able to do various competencies and skill sets associated with being kind of a flight nurse and any kind of emergencies that may happen there.
That's exciting. So they'll still have access to all the kind of the digital end of the helicopter.
Well, I think you almost have a mock-up of the flight controls and those things,
yeah.
I mean, because it's not intended to fly. But what you will have is all of the emergency equipment within there, being almost like we have for regular use, so that we can run scenarios in there in order to better prepare our students and our partners.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so for the law enforcement ones, that's the actual vehicle though, right?
It is. I can't remember if I don't think it's quite the full vehicle, but it would be the front end cab of the vehicle and whatnot. Yes.
Really exciting, very cool. So how will these simulators be integrated into the curriculum, and when can students be expected to start practicing and getting to exercise with them?
Yeah, so currently the ambulance is already being integrated within the curriculum for EMT, paramedicine, and some of those programs. So the intent is that once we get the simulators in, we test them, get everything up and running, is we look at the various scenarios that we have within those program areas. So those program areas such as the Law Enforcement Academy, nursing, allied health, they're heavy hands-on, right? So we take students through not only the theory of doing certain things, but then we actually have them practice. So this would be an opportunity to practice additional scenarios that we wouldn't normally have access to, but that we can kind of create and invent that they would find in real life, right? That they may not have the opportunity to do that until they were actually in the field working in that profession. This gives us the opportunity to maybe create those scenarios and train them even before they get out there, which is extremely, extremely important. So I would happen to say that give it a couple of months or a couple of weeks even after we get everything up and running for the program areas to start to incorporate that into their curriculum.
That's exciting. Yeah, I can't imagine what it must be like to be a nurse on a helicopter. So getting that experience before you're actually a nurse on a real helicopter must be critical.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's kind of like sports. You practice like you want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same concept, right?
Yeah, very cool. That's awesome. Well, I'm sure they're really excited. So. And then thinking about us, the Sierra Vista campus, we're doing some big time growing right now as well. Can you talk a little bit about the firearms training facility that's being built?
Absolutely. So again, this is a continuation of the vision really to create this First Responders Academy in regards to law enforcement. So we will have probably the most state-of-the-art indoor firearms training center in southeastern Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a almost 10,000 square foot facility that will have 20 different lanes for indoor shooting. So not only will that allow us to provide that sort of training to our law enforcement academy cadets that we attract from multiple counties, primarily here in Cochise County, but we have cadets that come in from neighboring counties as well. But then it's an opportunity as well for recertification, upskilling, reskilling for local agencies such as the Sheriff's Department, Sierra Vista PD, and others.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this really doesn't just benefit the college then, it's really a community resource.
Well, that's exactly right. And if you look at kind of the mission of community colleges. If you look at most of our program areas, what we do and how we impact the community, we are a community college. So it's, again, it's not just about, it is about the students we have here, but it's not just about that. It's about meeting community need. And we can do that by forming these partnerships and helping to create a mechanism for reskilling. And here's an interesting concept. So is that as students, I guess the concept is that when students graduate from us, it's not that we just say, goodbye, see you later, right? Many of those students, whether they be in allied health, nursing, law enforcement, stay within the community. We want to be that go-to for additional training and additional education as well. But by providing these types of opportunities, we're able to do that.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Very cool. So when is this grand opening, so to speak? When can our law enforcement students or our community members be expected to get started on their firearms training?
Yeah, so I think our timeline for completion on that is sometime in November.
Okay.
With a ribbon cutting in December.
Oh, a ribbon cutting. Wow.
So most likely it probably won't be used maybe in December, probably not. Most likely in January.
Okay, cool.
The next Law Enforcement Academy will start up in January.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we've got not a whole lot of time as we're already in October.
I know. The year's gone by pretty fast. So, okay, well, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
All right, salsa check-in. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
I'm feeling good.
Now this next one could change all that.
Next one is looking a little scary. She's a little chunky. So
yeah, shall
we dip in?
Let's do it.
I think we should. All right, I'm gonna go back to a round. I feel like you know.
Yeah, these flat ones are more my speed, I think.
Yeah. A little more tomatoey on that one.
More tomatoey. A little more onion.
A little kick. That's actually not that bad.
Okay.
I might have taken that back. Got a little kick.
Yeah, it's slowly starting to heat up. Slowly starting to heat up.
I'm like trying to see how long I can go before I have to dip into the milk. It's like a personal challenge for myself. Yeah. So.
All right.
I'm gonna tough through.
All right. That one's pretty good.
Yeah, that one's not bad.
I like that one.
Yeah, I like the tomato flavor in that one. So speaking again about the facilities training, is there anything you want non-law enforcement students to know about the new building?
I guess only that, as we continue to build capacity and look to the future, that's just a really good example of how we're trying to be nimble, flexible to the needs of program areas and the needs of our students and community members. And we're going to try to do the same thing with other programs as well.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, very cool. And the other thing that's being built here on campus that's pretty exciting is some new housing. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, Bugen Hall. So Bugen Hall was based on a gift. I think it was the largest one that we've ever received by Mr. Bugen, and it's $9.6 million.
Wow.
Yeah, so our first housing complex here on Sierra Vista campus, and it will house, I believe, 45 beds, and allow us then to have residency here for various program areas, including first responders and some other program areas as well. So it was a generous gift by Mr. Bugen. We've dedicated it as Bugen Hall, and that'll be completed, I believe, in December, with a ribbon cutting then in January.
So the end of this year is going to be big for the college.
It really is.
Yeah.
Some major things are coming to fruition as we end at least the regular year.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Okay, so sticking with the housing a little bit, who all is going to be eligible for that, and what kind of amenities can they expect to have in that housing?
Yeah, so walking through the housing, and it's tough to picture as at one point it was just a shell, and then you start to see drywall go up and all of these other things. But you've got these mini apartments with 3 individual rooms, and then a common living area with and then a shared bathroom and those sorts of things. So it's pretty cool to see the setup. Other amenities include a study space downstairs, laundromat as well, and of course plenty of parking for students if they have vehicles. And it's going to be open to all students. So those that want to enroll in Cochise College here and take classes on the Sierra Vista campus, they'll have the ability to do that.
That's really exciting.
It is exciting.
Cool. All right, are we ready for Cochise Red Hot?
Let's do this.
The last one?
Yeah.
You feeling pretty good?
Yeah, the effects of the other one have worn off, so I'm ready.
I'm feeling confident right now.
All right.
All right, let's do it. And this one was pretty hot when we opened it. Smells pretty hot, so.
Here we go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, you can smell the heat. Okay.
It's got an interesting flavor. Is it cilantro? Oh boy. All right.
Whew. Don't swallow too fast. Okay.
My eye is watering.
It's tough to tell what hints of whatever I'm tasting because it is hot.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. All right, guys.
That's really, whew,
I think we're lying.
that's got a smoky kind
Little
of
smoke.
overtone to
I
it,
swear
yeah.
there's cilantro or something.
That is spicy.
It is cilantro.
And I think every time I get a little moisture on my tongue, it heats up a little bit more.
I know, I'm suffering a little bit.
Yeah.
I made a mistake of not wearing waterproof mascara today.
All right.
All right, let's keep going.
Let's
So I have
do
a
this.
surprise question for you, Dr.
All
Perry.
right. Oh, surprise question.
This is arguably the most important question, okay?
Okay.
Inquiring minds want to know.
They want to know.
And by inquiring minds, I really mean me.
Okay.
When can we expect our cafe back?
When can we? Oh, the coffee.
Yes, because I need my iced latte.
Okay. So I don't have an exact time frame on when we will have the coffee bar. I think that's what it's going to be tagged as. But I'm really hoping December, January, at the latest January, is when you'll be able to go in there and get a hot cup of Joe,
Good.
your latte, your cappuccino, whatever it is.
Can we get a Dairy Queen too? Because I need a milkshake after
A Dairy
this.
Queen, yeah, I'll tell you what, whoo, it's still hot.
That's a little toasty.
That is. Yep, my nose is starting to run now.
If you had a sinus infection, this would be great.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just
this
clear
is
you right out.
fantastic.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Dr. Perry. That's all the questions I have for you. I really appreciate you sitting down with me and suffering through. You held up pretty well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
No, this has been a pleasure. And yeah, anytime we can communicate about the great things that are happening at Cochise College and the great work that we're doing for students in the community. Yeah, and this was just a fantastic opportunity to do that.
Yeah, kind of a fun, interesting, different little interview, you know?
Absolutely. You can invite me back, hopefully at some point.
Yeah, well, we'll up it the ante too.
Yeah, I think
I
we
don't think
need
you-
to. I could probably handle one more level.
If I'm crying, I think you gotta cry, yeah. So, and I wanna thank our viewers too for tuning in to Cochise Red Hot. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're gonna have episodes coming out every month on our YouTube channel. Oh, my nose is running too. And I also wanna shout out
There it goes.
Rick's Spicy Stuff. He's a local vendor here at Sierra Vista. We can confirm Rick's stuff is spicy, so the name is true. And we'll see you in the next episode.